call the meeting to order. Good evening and welcome to the December 1, 2014 meeting of the BUHS District 6 Board. We're meeting one room over from our normal place in the Cusick room as a result of prior commitments of the Cusick room. But we have adequate accommodations here. Thanks again to the Career Center. And I think we can get our business done. We just have finished with the most recent budget meeting regarding special education, and we are getting to the point where we have budget numbers on most of our departments now, and beginning to tweak things a little bit, but it looks like we're going to be able to present a very responsible budget. A little promotional in the beginning of the meeting, I guess. So we'll start as usual with the Clerks Report, and that would start with the approval of the minutes from our November 17th meeting. Is there a motion?
I move we approve the minutes.
And I'll second it.
Okay. Melanie moved and Ruth seconded. Okay. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes of the 17th? If not, all in favor of approving those minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstention?
I'll abstain.
Okay. Here. Okay. Communications. Any board communications?
I've had some communication since Saturday, between phone calls, emails, and being stopped on the street in relation to the article that was in the paper about the potential of our sports teams becoming Division II. Mixed reactions. Some people that were like, that's probably good, and some people that were like, hey, what's up with that? And I communicated that, as far as I know, it's in a review process, and no decisions have been made yet, and people need to just relax, and they can share their information with the Principals Association about making that decision based on what I read in the article. But there was a real mix of conversations that I had with a variety of people in town.
Maybe you can clarify that is specifically a VPA decision.
It is a VPA decision, and when the preliminary seedings came out last week, we were listed as moving in football only to Division II. All of our other sports are D1. And that decision is based on a few previous years' records and also our enrollment. And if you compare us to other D1 schools, we are much smaller. So we're right now the smallest D1 school. Some schools will be petitioning to move back to D1. Some schools that are D1 right now will petition to move down to Division II. There's a preliminary meeting today that Mr. Sawyer went to. He and I will talk again tomorrow. No final decision's been made. We do have the ability to appeal the decision and request to go back to D1. But as Chairman Woodworth pointed out, it is a VPA decision, and they vote, and it's a 2/3 vote. So we'll have a chance to air our desires. I know other schools that were placed in D2 have petitioned to go back to D1 already, and vice versa. Some schools that have been moved up to D1 have asked to go to Division II.
So there's two things. One is a petition, and one is an appeal of what the decision is.
Right.
So we could theoretically petition for the next season to go back.
Right. But as you pointed out, I mean, that was a preliminary conversation, and it doesn't have anything other than a potential for the upcoming season. But we don't know yet. It's not solidified.
Right, and that's what I told people that told me based on what the article said. But just since that article hit the newspaper on Saturday, I've had multiple conversations.
Ricky's right out there on the firing line.
I guess.
If this were Texas, it would be a
Whole other conversation.
Absolutely.
I might not be here tonight.
We have to have this meeting in the auditorium.
Okay. Anything else for the clerk's report? If not, then we will move on to recognition of groups and individual visitors, of which we have none. And therefore, we will move on to consent agenda. Is there a motion?
I move for going to consent agenda.
Second. Give it a shot.
Sean. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? If not, we are in consent agenda, and we start with finance.
Finance did not vote on the warrants and payrolls as listed in your agenda, so ignore those and they'll be back next time. Other than that, we've concentrated on the budget.
Yes, we have four meetings so far, I believe, 4 evening meetings.
Was it only
And-
4?
Seems like more. And we will have these warrants reviewed on Monday. We have another budget-related finance meeting, so we will tend to these warrants. Okay. WSCSU Finance Committee.
Yes, I went to the WSCSU Finance Committee meeting whenever it was held. I don't remember when it was. Was it a week ago?
It was, I think, on a, was it a
It was on a Wednesday.
Wednesday. It was when I
because
gave an
you couldn't
exam.
go.
We gave an exam on that Wednesday,
Oh.
the Wednesday, not the day before Thanksgiving, but the week.
The week before that. And unfortunately, I did not bring that paperwork with me.
I think you did you do special ed then?
I believe we did special ed, which we did special ed budget tonight here. But we did talk about the special ed, the SU special ed budget and the moving of certain portions of the budget to the SU budget from the individual school districts.
And you have another meeting coming up quite quickly, I believe,
Wednesday.
for more.
And I
Yeah,
can-
more.
That
You're in the
is
same
Russ.
budget mode.
And I will actually be there.
Russ is going to this.
Right. But the SU Finance Committee, like the BUHS Finance Committee, is meeting on a much more regular basis during the budget season.
Then we'll meet again
The 9th.
the night just before the full SU board meeting. The SU Finance Committee meeting will meet an hour early.
At Dummerston?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask when the next BUHS finance meeting is?
It'll be
Next Monday, a week from
And here
tonight.
Yeah,
at 5:30?
5:30.
And do we know what you're discussing?
That, revenue, yes.
Yeah.
That's the one where Frank will explain how all that works, and we'll make an attempt at understanding it.
And at that time, we're going to do these warrants and the payrolls.
Yes, yeah, yep. Okay, planning and policy.
Planning and Policy attempted to meet earlier before this meeting, but we were unable to achieve a quorum. Therefore, we were unable to conduct business. We will attempt to hold that meeting again before the next regular board meeting.
Which will be
Which will be the
on December
15th.
15th. So you will meet prior to that, and that would be then we'll have the second reading. Of
Yes,
the-
because we weren't able to meet,
Right.
the policies that we have for second reading, we were unable to further discuss. Therefore,
Right,
we're going to ask that those be pushed off
okay.
to the next meeting.
How about the Teacher Curriculum Committee?
Has not met since our last meeting.
BAMS Committee?
Also has not met since our last meeting.
WRCC Committee?
The committee has not met, however, I've been meeting with the Technical Assistance Committee, and we're going to be going through this technical assistance visit tomorrow, and we'll have more news after that, and I'm sure Mr. Burnett will have more to tell us during his report.
Yes. Okay. Are there any other committee reports? If not, is there a motion to accept consent agenda?
So moved.
Ricky? Second. Russ, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Seeing none, we have accepted consent agenda unanimously, and we'll move on to administrative reports. How about we start with BAMS?
All right, hi everyone. So we, probably the thing that comes to mind the most, the recent events was our in-service training before the Thanksgiving break. We had 2 full days of staff in-service training and focused on a few different things. The second day we worked on SBAC, the Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium, the online testing, the computer adaptive testing. The teachers worked on taking the tests together and collaborating and generating lists of questions and talking about technology needs, et cetera, et cetera. And in the afternoon, there was collaboration with the high school teachers in departments, so collaborating that way. I think we talked about this last time, actually. On Monday, it was a variety of activities, but it was primarily focused on Vermont's Act 77, flexible pathways legislation, the education quality standards, and proficiency-based education. So we spent quite a lot of time reviewing some of that. I had various people present information and small group meetings, and so we had a good time. Well, I thought we had a good time. We had, recently we've had 5 chorus students selected for the District 6 District Festival up in Bellows Falls. That was before Thanksgiving. Our foreign language teacher took a bunch of students to the Mass MoCA Museum over in North Adams, and you know, you approve those field trips, and sometimes you don't think of those immediate impacts with students. You know, Miss Grenoble came back and said that one of her students said it was the best field trip she ever went on, and so, you know, those field trips really are memorable for kids. And we are doing in-service. Part of the proficiency thing, we won this grant, which Steve and I have talked a little bit about. We're going up to Lake Maury on the 9th and 10th to spend 2 days really getting in depth with some of the changes that are coming. So looking forward to that.
And that's who is going to be at that meeting? I mean, who's running it?
There are there's 30 districts that were received the grant, 30 Vermont districts, and then I think teams of 5.
Teams of 5, right. We have a team of 8, actually. 'Cause we asked, and they said yes. So, in that, those teams will be going up twice a month now through June, and really looking at different aspects of proficiency-based graduation requirements and proficiency-based learning models, and really starting to dig into the process of how do we create a proficiency-based model in the district, and how do we launch that, and what are the steps required before we launch that.
And who facilitates these?
It's the Agency of Education has underwritten the grant. The actual facilitation is going to be done by somebody from the Great Schools Partnership, which is a nonprofit consortium, which is centered in all of New England. They actually have headquarters in Maine, but they're centered all across New England.
So that was it. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, let's go on to the high school, but we'll do student council first.
The student council is just getting back into the swing of things after the Thanksgiving break. We have a goal of 2014 items for Project Feed the Thousands, and we're at like 100 items right now, so we have 3 weeks. So if anyone's looking to donate, go for it. Yeah, and that's our main thing right now.
Thousands, okay. Thank you, Tom. UHS?
So I guess I have to
correct Tana a little bit. They did a full school assembly last week, and it was very, very positive, very upbeat. As part of that, they did a video where they went and they visited the drop-in center and they interviewed staff and they interviewed participants at the drop-in center. And that video is amazing, and we're working on getting it up to the website. So I want to give student council the recognition that they deserve and are unwilling to accept. They did a phenomenal job, and I'm really looking forward to their leadership in helping us meet that goal. When that video is up and running, we'll be sure to let everybody know, because it's a great little piece of cinema. It's nice. It really is. It really kind of highlights the need and the hunger in our community and what we need to do as a community to support people who need help. And it does it really succinctly and does it with a lot of feeling. So I'm really proud of what they did. So, in other news, we had our fall concerts in the gymnasium, and they went well. I have to give some recognition to the students and to the audience. When you go into a gymnasium, you're accustomed to screaming and yelling and chanting things like "Start the Bus." Nobody did that during the concert, which is great. They were very respectful. The acoustics weren't great, but they really kind of did a nice job with what they had, and I'm really proud of what they did. Speaking of the auditorium, the project is out with a request for proposal, and we've had 3 contractors come walk through so far. We're going to hopefully award that either later this week or early next week, and then get that process up and running. The classrooms and the bathroom will be included in that project as well, so we're hoping to get that all kind of wrapped up, hopefully in early 2015, which is just 3 weeks away. So we're really pushing hard to get that done in a timely manner. As Keith said, we had 2 days of in-service last week, and like the middle school, we focused on our proficiency-based model, and we spent a lot of time talking about what are the principles of a proficiency model. How does a student's flexible pathway fit into it, that kind of model, and what's an appropriate flexible pathway for a student who wants to pursue a non-traditional role through high school? What does that non-traditional path look like? How do you put in quality control to make sure that it's still a rigorous, meaningful experience? And so we had a lot of rich discussion about that. We're going to continue this year to kind of look at proficiency and kind of see where we want to go with it. Our next step as a faculty is to really kind of identify what expectations do we have for all of our graduates, and what does a high school graduate really look like. Next month, I want to come to the board and kind of share a little bit more about proficiency and what it looks like, and what does it mean to move away from getting 97 credits to graduate from high school. There's some concerns about, well, what happens with college transcripts, what happens in the application process. So I do want to come and spend a little bit of time talking about that with the board, but probably not right now. This Thursday, we're rolling out our personal learning plans to our 9th graders, and we've gotten some feedback from student council from seniors who didn't have a personal learning plan, and we've talked to some other students about what do they think a personal learning plan should include. We're pretty excited. It really, for a student, for a 9th grader and students coming into high school, it really is an effective tool where they can take everything they do in high school, whether it's coursework, whether it's extracurricular, whether it's surveys, inter-surveys, career surveys, and they have it in one place. And one of the things that student council members said when I showed it to them is they said, this would have been great when I was getting ready to apply to colleges, to have all this information right here at my fingertips. And so that alone is a reason to do it. And we're hoping that students begin to use that right away. So we're going to roll those out with freshmen later this week, and we're excited for what they're going to show us.
Can I ask a question about
Sure.
that? Is that going to be integrated at all with the Google, what is the thing that follows them through their whole career?
Apps for Education.
And they can access documents they've written and that sort of thing? It's all going to be integrated?
It is. Yeah. And actually, what we've done is every student, their advisor will share, it's called, in Google speak, it's called sharing. They'll provide a copy of a document that all students will have access to. And the students will begin that in 7th grade. And then all the way through 12th grade, they'll continue to build and expand it and make it their own. They can add video, they can link to their own web page. It's their own online presence.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, we're kind of excited about it. So
As we go through some of these things, we'll certainly keep you informed about what we're learning, because that's an important piece to the process.
Winter sports are in full swing. We've had a couple of scrimmages, and you know, the cross-country team is very glad about the snow. Actually, the trails were groomed before Thanksgiving. That's kind of neat to see. And so we're kind of excited for winter sports to start. Next week, we're going to have the high school version of what BAMS did last month with Technicool, which is presented by Prevent Child Abuse Vermont. It's an online etiquette and you know, kind of anti-cyber harassment tool. And we're going to do it with our students, 9 through 12. And then on the evening of the 11th, we'll do a parent meeting as well. So parents can get a sense of what's going on online and how do they support their students on it. So, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. It strikes me that proficiency-based learning will be a great board education topic when you're ready.
Sure.
You're thinking after the turn of the year?
I think so. I think we need some time to...
Well, yeah.
We're going to be going through these two intense days a month sessions right through the end of the school year.
Yeah.
So as we go, I mean, I've learned a lot as in a few years, but kind of the process that we use to kind of roll it out with our staff, we'll be developing that plan as we go. So I don't know if it will be I don't envision it yet being like being able to explain the whole, you know, the entire process, but we can kind of, I think we can give you updates in a presentation.
We don't learn the entire process very fast either, so you can give it to us in a couple of sessions.
We can do some introductory.
Spring. And normally with board education, we kind of pass it around. BAMS has one in the high school and the career center.
Yeah.
In this case, together was fine, and maybe before we get too far into the new year.
Sure.
Right.
We can do it
Can I just ask where
proficiency-based.
the title came from, though, proficiency-based learning?
Well, it's you could name it about 7 different things that have been used since for many years: mastery learning, competency-based learning,
Standards-based learning.
So where
standards-based
does
learning.
this last one?
Actually, competency and proficiency seems different from what I have here. If I may,
Well,
proficiency-based learning refers to systems of instruction, assessment, grading, and academic reporting that are based on students demonstrating that they have learned the knowledge and skills they are expected to learn as they progress through their education.
well, the terms are confused. I guess what I was trying to say.
Yeah, there's another competence. Yeah, competence.
But this comes from, is it an internally generated thing?
It's been kicking around in the New England states for a few years as proficiency-based learning. The state of Maine adopted it a few years ago, and they're making progress. In some cases, it's very superficial, and in some cases, it's a very deep change in the school community. Vermont, in Act 77, kind of said, okay, we're going to move everybody to proficiency, and this year's 7th graders are required to graduate with a proficiency-based program.
So that's why you referred to the act at the beginning of your presentation.
Yeah. But we definitely need to give you some type of overview to give you kind of something similar to what we probably did with our staffs. It's just a kind of a general snapshot of what the philosophy is.
Yep.
And
Well, if you let us know when you think we
Yeah.
should get an update, and we'll
Yeah.
put it on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it for BUHS. All kinds of activity at the Career Center, huh?
There is.
Tell us about it.
To start out, I will read a report from Barb Vinci, one of our business teachers. Actually, we're in her room tonight. Her and Mary Beth Cornell just attended FBLA Fall Leadership Training in New Orleans 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. And the members attending took part in a corporate leadership training as the guest of Ochsner Health Systems President CEO Warner Thomas, BUHS and WRCC class of 1983. The leadership training was above and beyond any training experience that the members have ever taken part in. Warner was a very humble was very humble about his accomplishments, but gave much of the credit for his success to Mary Beth Carnell, our business educator. In addition, the students attended the many workshops of the conference. We were also able to tour some of the local businesses in the French Quarter and hear much of the rich history of New Orleans. We were also guests of the Ochsner Health Systems and attended the New Orleans Saints versus Baltimore Ravens Monday Night Football game. We had sideline passes and enjoyed the game from the luxury suite. Members were also introduced to the Vice President of Corporate Sponsorships, Jean-Paul Egan. Warner was very generous with his time and gave the members an experience that they will never forget. P.S. Warner has also been giving the Career Center 2 scholarships annually for many years during our award ceremony. So the kids do ask if they would like to give a presentation to the board about their experiences sometime in the near future as well.
I got your email about that. We can do that probably as early as right after the first meeting in January, if you'd like to schedule, which I believe will be on January 5th.
Sure.
If that works for the...
I'll check with them tomorrow.
Yeah. The second December meeting is usually a little bit of a challenge. You know, we're still thrashing around with the budget.
Sure.
Try to run through things fairly quickly, getting pretty close to the holiday time, but we'll put it on for January 5th.
Great, thanks. The WRC Dance recently took students to see Boston's ballet production of Swan Lake, which they learned a lot about dance history unit of study. They also arranged for a few students to take a Martha Graham technique class at UMass Amherst, where the Martha Graham Company just performed. Martha Graham is also a person, technique, and a longtime dance company they have learned throughout their history unit. This Friday, Sam Rowley, our horticulture teacher, will be attending a climate summit in Burlington at UVM, and along with 2 other high school teachers, which I forgot the names of, will be joining him.
Mike Auerbach and Megan Shearer.
Thanks. So this is going to be a combination of Career Center students and high school students. And the Climate Summit is consisting of sessions through the day to meet with peers from all over the state. And they will discuss climate issues with the goal of preparing and implementing climate action plans for Vermont high schools. So it's pretty exciting collaboration, and they look forward to that on Friday. Tonight we have the opportunity, I'm going to actually hand this out for everyone, and it kind of outlines the technology centers that work TAV and what is the purpose of a technical assistant visit. Tonight we had an opportunity and the honor to give a nice outline of the Career Center to our technical assistant visiting team. And I'll wait to pass it around. The purpose of a TAV, which I think I've explained before, is to help school leaders and teachers identify changes needed to achieve the technology centers that work / Southern Regional Education Board initiative. And their initiative, or their goal, is to improve students' achievement through blending high-level academic and career technical studies, and also help sites improve the quality of learning for all students by working with teachers, counselors, and administrators. As you can see on the top of this handout, the main goals is to raise expectations for student performance, revise what students are taught, change how students are taught, change how the school relates to students, change how teachers relate to each other, change how the school relates to parents, middle schools, employers, and post-secondary schools, and collect and use data for continued improvement. And I really look forward to this process for all of these features, actually, and goals of the TAV to change for the better and to improve for the benefit of the students' futures.
This visit goes through Wednesday?
Wednesday morning,
Wednesday
they'll be
morning, yeah.
completing. And Ruth is actually a participant, and so isn't Steve Perrin on the TAV.
Thank you for representing us.
Glad to do it.
Thank you. That's all I have.
That's all you have? Okay, thank you. Okay, let's see. Ron has moved on to Guilford. He did not leave me with anything particular that he wanted to have discussed, nor do I have anything at this point for my report, other than continued work on the budget. So we'll move on to unfinished business. And as Ian pointed out, we have listed on the agenda 5 policies for second reading: D9, E8, F14, F30, and G1. However, since the Planning and Policy Committee has not met to discuss any revisions, we will put that off until until the January. No, next
December 15th.
15th it will be, yes, December 15th. Postpone until 12/15. Okay. Is there anything else under unfinished business?
I just wanted to clarify when the SU meeting is.
The 9th of December,
The 9th? Okay. And it's at Dummerston
it's at Dummerston at 6:30.
6:30, I think, yeah. The Finance Committee meets at 5:30. But 6:30, I think, is the...
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else unfinished? If not, any new business? Okay. If not,
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
all in favor? Aye. Opposed or abstentions? If not, we are stand adjourned. Thank you very much.